Welcome to Zentangle Project Pack 2, Day 11 of the 12 Days of Zentangle. I'm Rick.
11.
11.
Oh, my
One
goodness.
more day. We're
Hi,
almost
I'm
there.
Maria. And today we're going to do some stars with some white 3Z tiles.
And Molly's setting us up here with how to put them together. So we've got two white 3Z tiles. And once you get them set the way you want them, just flip them over and trace a little bit there. Then grab your glue stick or whatever other adhesive material you're going to use and just put it inside those lines. And then get back that other tile and just line the traced part up and boom, there you
Voila.
go.
Voila.
And we're going to do two sets here. This one, we're going to do three 3Z tiles.
Yeah.
And so again, just arrange them the way you want and holding it together, flip it over and trace around the top one, pick that off, and then trace around the middle one onto the bottom one, and then pick that off, and again with the glue gun.
Stick.
Or double-sided tape,
Yeah.
or whatever you're using. Something that's going to be thin, because we want to, probably a glue gun wouldn't be a good idea. So put those, get them glued up, put them together, and we have, in this case, a 9-pointed star.
Which is really pretty lovely. Look at that.
Right? So those are our surfaces, and here we go.
So we're going to be using a Micron PN in black and a gold jelly roll, the Micron 01 in brown, Zentangle pencil, and a white jelly roll.
All right. So we'll start on the 6-sided white.
So I'm going to start by doing you can see the triangles that are separate, that would be the one behind. I'm just auraing those right now, and you'll see how that's going to go. Take your time.
Just take it right up to the other tile.
Yeah. Enjoy. Now, when I go to do these other points, you can see that I'm kind of making it so that it sort of goes a little bit further, and then I'm going to join that. Take your time.
The whole sense of auraing adds so much, and it's sort of like a frame.
Okay, so this first step of aeronaut is pretty magical. You connect the lines across one, and then you aura that.
All the way.
And you're going to continue to do that. So now you're going to connect one triangle to the other.
But in this case, so it's going behind the first line.
Right. So this will be a very weavy, Celtic knotty looking thing.
So often in aeronaut, you would keep going, but in this case, we're just going to do the first round of aeronaut lines.
To create a frame.
Yeah. And it leaves an impression of being woven without trying to weave it. Nice. A little bit different when you hit, two different surfaces, one being a little higher than the other. So just keep that in mind. You'll notice that Maria almost, visualizes the line in the air before she draws it.
This one's really important for you to turn your tile as you go along so that you can keep track of what you're doing.
And also, as I like to say, the character of the line is more similar to itself because you're using your hand in the same way as you draw each line.
So now I have my star, and I'm going to do some pretty simple
Poke leaf.
poke leaf, and they're poking behind in a hollow bar manner, and so there's going to be one leaf inside each of these triangles, and sort of poking a little bit into the center behind the lines.
True to their namesake. This one being particularly exuberant.
I like to have one that sort of pokes into the space there just to kind of break it up a little bit. So we're going to throw that one right in there. Cool. Now I'm adding some little foldovers on the leaves just to give them some character. And it's sort of that take off and land kind of thing where it's a gradual lip that goes around there. If you imagine how a leaf would furl over.
It's so simple and such a really neat impact. Love that. All of a sudden it's dimensional.
Mm-hmm. So the next, we're going to put it, this is going to be our string, and it's going to be like a little slight smiley face in the middle there with a pencil. And this is a tangle called Senna, S-C-E-N-N-A or S-C-E-N-A, I can't remember. We're going to do a series of lines that would begin at the smile and then radiate out. And you can see I'm putting different pressure on the pen. If you look really closely, you can see I'm going hard and then letting up light, and it's giving it some what do you call that?
Like texture, or if it's
shining,
like if
it's
it were a
shining.
waterfall, it
Yep.
would be not perfectly smooth.
This is one of those tangles that has surprise to it. You think it's going to be dull and boring and everything, but wait till you see what happens here. It's the coolest thing if you just keep going and follow the string.
And notice the little gap that she's leaving right next to the leaf a couple times. There's that little bit of air space there. Just sets it apart. So the pressure on the stroke is creating its own sense of pattern as well.
Okay, now watch this. This is going to start to get interesting. So we're going to keep going to that string and follow it all the way around. Watch this, okay? That's the key right there.
So when you run out of smile, so to speak, you just go to the other side and keep attaching to it at the next step over.
This is when you'll want to practice often. Look at this. Look at it. It's going to get really cool. Almost looks like a fingerprint or something, The whirl.
And look at that. See what happened there? And you just keep going around and around, and it creates this very natural, unexpected, unpredicted sense of flow or swirl or eddy or whirlpool or whatever.
And don't think that every time you do this tangle, it's going to look the same. They always end up looking different. I don't know what it is, but they have these like natural swirls like you'd see in a pond, when you put your finger in the water and turned it around, or natural little waves and things. Isn't that cool? I love that.
That is beautiful. That is so nice.
I love this. So let's see if we can gussy this star up. We're gonna add some gold jelly roll. I'm just gonna color in that star, give it some weight, a nice, beautiful texture. And take your time. And you want to be careful when you're coloring that in that you don't get your hand on the other parts.
Yeah, that stays wet quite a bit, so just keep that. See how she's got her finger
in that space. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm adding gold leaf, so to speak.
You were just waiting for
I know,
that.
I was waiting. I love seeing this thing turn around and seeing the different ways to look at that senna.
Right. It's first a whirlwind, then somebody's hair, then who knows what.
Okay, I'm going to go back in with that PN, the Micron black PN, and I'm going to do that same thing we did earlier on one of the earlier videos, and just add a little bit of shade with the pen on top of the gold, and it's where the lines go under, you can see that, and just go around, and wherever it goes under, you can add that. So what I'm doing right there, I'm showing you how I clean my pen. Sometimes when you do something like this over the gold or another color, your pen tip will pick up some pigment. So you just go on a scrap piece of paper and just twirl it and get it rolling again, and it's fine.
That particularly works if you use the micron on top of the white.
So adding shades of gray to this is just so spectacular, and it really makes the tangle pop.
So now the shading is just lifting that star up off of the background, and then the tortillon just makes it all smooth together.
Ah, how fun.
Very nice. I think that's the tortillon you resurrected.
Yes, I think so. Very nice. I liked doing this tile.
Sweet.
Oh, I'm going to add a little white, just little highlights.
So even though this is a white tile, the way this tangle is really accepts the white to bring out some highlights.
You guys are going to love doing this senna. You'll use it in many different ways. So here it is with just the center in the middle. And after I went through the whole thing, I went and did the center the other way around, so it was sort of cross-hatched. And I think I went in with brown, and then I touched up with white, and had some fun with that.
That's pretty cool. And with a little bit of blue pencil, it looks like.
No, I think it's a regular pencil. Yeah, and I put a little blue. Very cool. And here's another version. I added more poke leaves, and it almost looked like the poke leaves were made of ice and they got cracked away, and then we put the senna in the middle. Isn't that what that looks like?
That really does.
There you go.
Like the imagery.
Nice. I'm happy with that. So Rick's going to do this next tile.
So I'm going to take the 9-pointed black set and begin with the jelly roll. I'm going to aura the outside of one, but if you notice at the top, I sort of wrapped it around, and you'll see why. I'm wrapping it at the top and at the bottom. And at the top, I'm going in just not all the way to where the two points meet, but I am going to aim at where they come together at the other side, instead of doing just parallel lines all the way around. So I'm going to rotate my star, being careful not to put my fingers on the still wet gel ink there. And just repeat this process, except every time I come to a previous line, I'm going to draw behind. And then...
So get that halfway point, start at the halfway point, and then go to the corner.
Right.
I like that shape. It's got some dimension to it. It makes the ribbon look like it's coming at you or something.
It has a little bit more motion or activity in there. So it's sort of fun, like a puzzle. Okay, where would this line be? It's going to show there, and where it's going to show, and where it's not going to show, and it was a fun exercise. But again, with this pen, just holding it very lightly, and it almost feels like the ink pours out of it the lighter you contact it with the paper. So there's the initial setup. And I was curious what to do next. Was I going to use the white gel pen or continue with the gold gel pen? Because I wanted to put some tangles within it. So I'm going to see what the white line looks like next to the gold and what the gold line looks like next to the gold. It's going to be gold. So we're going to do this whole thing in gold. So I'm going to aura the outside ones of all of them. And then see what I do next. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to aura both sides of the triangles or not. In this first one, I'll fill it with Shattuck. And the way I start Shattuck is I will take off on one side and then go to the other side such that I hit it almost at a right angle. And then once that is full with auras, I'll just rotate it and see I'm going to start out on that line, take off, and then come over to the other side and hit it at right angles. And that's just the way I find it easy for me to do the sequence of setting up one Shattuck element after another. And then I always am rotating the tile to find, which way the ink is flowing out nicely.
So he's filling one specific 3Z. You can see if you follow it, it's one 3Z, and filling it with the tangle, the Shattuck. Oh, how pretty is that already?
Okay, so now I want to pick something that's going to be a good contrast, and I think I want to make both sides of this next one aura'd. So let's put in the aura. And for this, a nice contrast will be a large, big orbs as we can put in. So one orb right up to the next, and we call them orbs because they're not meant to be perfect circles. It's just something that's circular. And now you see those little triangle spaces that are created. We'll go into those and put in as large a circle as we can, or orb in there. And we'll just continue around that particular 3Z in this approach. And so I think the open black space compares really nicely with the closely aura'd lines of the Shattuck.
So you'll get used to thinking this way. What tangle would look good next to this? Would the contrast help make it stick out, right? Make it show.
So again, on this one, I decided to aura both sides, and you can see how it sets it off from the Shattuck. It really gives a nice separation between whatever tangles are in each space there. And in this one, it's just going to be a very simple perfs right down the middle of that band throughout that 3Z tile. So there's some symmetry and also some separation and distinction between each one. Okay, so independently of Maria doing it, I didn't know she had done the same thing with the same pen on hers as I did, but I had the same experience, and and the same clogging. I think I didn't wait as long as I could have to do this process. And I found that if I went over it, like just back and forth, it tended to blend the gold into the black. So I was very careful to trace over the lines. So I liked the effect, but I don't know if it's something that I would look to do as a regular technique. But then again, it might have been different if I had given it more time to dry.
Yeah, I didn't have that problem quite so
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
But it was still a good exercise, and I could go back over it, and it had a really good result.
You can see Rick cleaning his pen every once in a while or off camera.
And the other reason that I wanted to do it is I didn't want the glare or the reflection of the graphite. So there you go. That's the 9-pointed one. And that's it for day 11. Thank you for hanging out with us, and we look forward to what you put up on the app and the comments and the blog. And thank you for your time, and we will see you tomorrow
For the last
for
day.
the last day. Bye now.
Thanks for having us. Bye.